Yeah.
What's the deal, brother?
Not much. I got some good news. For me, I would say I got my job back.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, they just emailed us telling us that oh, you got our job. They opened up today, I think. What's it, the 4th? Yeah, they just opened up the whole Colorado back.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but that's my.
I see you got the book stacked up over there. What you been reading?
Oh yeah, this is what I read. I read all type of shit. It's mainly just books from school. You know, some books that I bought myself that I wanted to read, but it's freakonomics. It's about like how everything is economical in our society. You're being advertised to 24 hours a day, every day.
Right.
Malcolm Gladwell, Talking to Strangers, is how he's talking about like we see each other as strangers, which is why we treat people the way we treat them. And he went into like how what's that one woman, Sandra Bland, how the cop who put over Sandra Bland treated her as if she was like a stranger. You know what I'm saying? Like, and which is resulted in her death ultimately.
Right.
Yeah. So what else I got? Stay Woke. It's just about social justice stuff. And this is my favorite right here. How capitalism underdeveloped the black community or black America.
Why is that your favorite? That's what I want to talk about.
This is my favorite, particularly because I think that the black America has used capitalism as a means to liberate ourselves. And I think what this book argued is that time and time again, that has shown to not be true.
But do you blame them, or are you just trying to show them an alternative route, at least?
I don't blame black people for that, to a certain extent.
What is that extent?
The extent is if you don't know of it, you can't. If you don't know of alternative ways of living, or you don't know how insidious capitalism is to black people specifically, then you can't really do nothing about it. So I don't really think that's necessarily like a fault in black people's.
No question though. What do you mean exactly? Like, I know what you mean, but just for the people listening, what do you mean alternative route of living outside of a capitalism? Like, how can somebody do that? To be honest, and what, you know, because that people don't even know what you mean exactly, and what is, just for, even if we got just people who not too familiar as far as like how they're living how their day to day is living in the capitalism. Just break it down for them.
Yeah, so I want to preface it with this, like, obviously we live in a capitalist society, so there's no way you can not live within capitalism, because this is how we have constructed our society. However, what people like me like to say is that, like, there's alternatives that we don't go towards because it's uncomfortable to go towards it, as far as like communism or anarchism or even socialism. I would argue that we kind of have socialism right now in ways that people don't really like to say we do, but we do. But yeah, I think all alternatives than capitalism, because I think that people's default is let's become entrepreneurs, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because like I said, we live in a capitalist society, so in order to survive, you have to do that. But I feel like we can chew gum and walk at the same time. We can live and operate in a capitalist society while at the same time creating alternative means of living in society.
Right. And just for everybody listening, any conservative people listening, I know when they think of alternative, they automatically assume socialism or anything that remotely seems like socialism. But I mean, we could redefine what that alternative is.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Just for instance, like people who live like, you know, common law citizens, that's technically an alternative, right?
Yeah. I feel like more so the common law citizenship. It's interesting that you brought that up. I feel like common law citizenship is a alternative to like how our government is set up, more so. You know what I mean? It's alternative to, well, I won't say alternative, but it is using your constitutional rights as laid out in the Constitution.
Right, and not being
without bureaucracy and stuff like
just
that.
being aware of being a private citizen and not acting as a corporation. It's like in this new age of this global society that we in, you can't really scale a small business. So I think like the COVID agenda, whatever it was, you know what I'm saying, not discrediting the illness, but just the way it checked off all the economic boxes, and how the corporations benefited from it. And small businesses, you know, caved in right back into that capitalistic bullshit. But just saying like that is that, you know what I'm saying? It's like figuring out a new business model. It's all about leverage. I think the new entrepreneur hype, if we was on this 20 years ago, it would have been great. But for the fact, I think we're 20 years late, that the new thing is about leveraging something so you could sell it to a corporation.
Okay.
I think that at that level, you still playing a particular entrepreneur role, but like it's just certain people that just feel like I want to open up a donut shop at the corner of the street and just live happily ever after and sell donuts out there for the rest of my life. It just 70 years later, the market crashed downtown, and then they mad as fuck, forced to pay their bills, forced to sell their house. So the thing is, that's the same bullshit, same agenda you bought into the shit. You know what I'm saying? That you knew there was, you know, artificial intelligence was coming. You knew all the shit was coming. You knew that they was going to recreate, get rid of the middle class. We've been talking about that. The capitalism.
Yeah. And to that point though, that's why I argue that capitalism is bullshit, because we know that it could bite us in the ass. It could, not necessarily say it will, but it could be a barrier to being quote unquote successful, or quote unquote living your life to your fullest potential. So I feel like the fact that, like, you know, COVID, like you said, COVID is a great example of how it shows how fucked up capitalism is, because if nobody can work, if you can't run your business, how are you going to survive?
But yet the corporations thrive.
But yet the corporations thrive because our government is set up to not let them die. And I see, it was this quote by somebody, I don't know who it was by, but it was by politicians today are not politicians for the people. They're corporate financial advisors.
That sounds pretty accurate. I wouldn't dispute that too. And another thing too, back to like the reason you go against capitalism. I want to say this. Same way I said we could redefine the alternative. Can we redefine our capitalism? Like, is a little bit of capitalism still okay? Is it a way to put a cap on it?
I say all capitalism.
No pun intended.
I say all capitalism is bad.
Okay, and I say that to say this, right? I have a theory that, you know, every time they got your back against the wall, back against the ropes, you know what I'm saying, you use your weakness as an advantage. And that's the only time you leverage out of weakness, but you're really not leveraging. It's just using the one thing that you have as the biggest anchor and using it as a shield. And I say that to say, in our point, what is the one thing that keeps the corporations thriving?
Our needs.
Exactly. So, in that same regard, consumerism is so important, that even touching on how we was talking on where the wild things were about you know, the cancel culture aspect, but just in the regard of controlling our consumerism, can we be able to leverage can we make the how can I put it, why do we have to pay for the products that we're willing to take for the rest of our lives and promote? Can we start leveraging all our products in every capacity?
What do you mean when you say leverage?
Like, do you have a certain kind of tissue line that you like to use, or
Okay. Okay.
certain kind of deodorant or lotion that you like to use, right? Have
Right.
you ever tried writing a letter to that company?
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying. So what you're arguing for, right? If I'm correct, is like a more uh, ethical way to do capitalism. Like do capitalism in a way where like people, not only are the corporations trying to, sell a product or whatever, but also make sure that everybody is good with it. Like,
Yeah, see, thing is, only the corporations are playing this money race. Everybody else is trying to be happy and keep up. So for that simple fact, if all they care about is the most people using their shit and all that, well, at this point, it's they might have to change the way they conduct, just as far as like the things they want as a corporation moving forward as well in these next 20 years, because if globalization buy out all these businesses, where they gonna go at that point?
right.
So they should be afraid of that wall that they're going to eventually hit if it's just one business. They should be afraid of that.
It's funny that you say that, and it's another book that I read. It's called "The Crises of Capitalism," and it kind of talk about the same thing you talk about. Is there's always a barrier somewhere, but the goal of capitalists is to overcome that barrier. So there's never a cap, because a capitalist will find a way to overcome that barrier in order to make a profit. And that's why I think there is no ethical way to cap capitalism, because they're always going to try to go over that cap in order to make a profit.
Like what about this? And going back to that, like controlling your consumerism, right? We can't make them give us the products away for free.
No, we can't.
We can. We control the price. They don't.
No, but we really don't. We really don't.
We could drive the price down intentionally. Instead of spending, going back to like Atlanta, right, and the Buckhead, Lenox Mall, being sold out at all the fancy Louis Vuittons and all that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Just think about that. During the COVID crisis, they go buy them all out when everybody was stuck in the house. Therefore, if nobody was buying their inventory, any retail will have to drop the price eventually. Eventually, if you control your consumerism and be just as strategic for not having to pay for things, the same way they're fighting to stay the biggest giantest corporation, we could figure out how to leverage, how to not pay for anything.
But let me also say this, as a motherfucker who don't like capitalism, that dropping the price is good for us, the consumer in America. But let's say, for example, I want to just say coffee, something random. If nobody bought Starbucks because of the COVID, right, they will be forced to drop their prices, right? And because they dropped the price, that means that the workers who get the fucking coffee beans from Guatemala or wherever, they not getting paid as much as they should, because the corporation has to cut costs somewhere.
We talking about when artificial intelligence is here and all the jobs are gone anyway. Remember, we knew that they said in 10 years, 50% of the workforce was going to be gone. We were like, how, Sway? Because Corona was going to hit and then some other shit was going to come. So at the end of the day, this is that. If they get rid of all the jobs anyway, how can we still pay for shit? They have to start giving shit away. And you must have to monitor our usage, our consumerism on some like streaming shit. They have to figure out how to stream products. And just because I want the product, I should be able to get it. And off that alone, you should figure out how to get paid off the government, the corporation, not us, the consumer. It could be like a new digital hit. Like, how many tissues did you buy this year? How many different socks did you buy this year? How many shirts? How many paper towels? Or how many different soaps or dish detergents? You know what I'm saying? Those things that you're technically loyal. You loyal to those products. 4 years go by, you beep. I've been buying the same dish detergent. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, to those type of companies, those are mainly the black necessities that we buy a lot, those things that keep the household going, the food and all that. Like, if we could kind of control the market and that our consumerism, we may be able to control the moving forward as far as like how, you know, how this thing goes a little bit. But
That's
if we don't, we you know, we
That's
gotta stop, control what's hot and what's not.
Yeah. It's also this one dude named, if you talk to my dad, he probably talked about him before. Probably not, though. What's his name? Fuck. I can't think of his name right now. But he came up with the idea of this idea called the Venus Project, where everything is self-automated. And everything is run by, like, you know, machines, like you were saying. It's like automating and all that good stuff. And that frees up people's time for, like, labor, and you can pursue what you truly want to pursue. And I think that's also a option that we have, because we got the technology for it, but that technology don't make a profit. But if we're taking profits away from it and just strictly thinking about the earth and people, then I feel like that's a way that we can go towards.
So I thought you was crazy, but you're not even that crazy after all when you be talking about the capitalism. I completely feel the same way you feel. I just feel like I think it's room for everything that exists in the market the way it does. I think that we can everything, you know what I'm saying? We can have a little bit of no government, a little bit of capitalism, a little bit of socialism, you know what I'm saying, for everybody who's in those particular things. Each level of society can come with a different ideology, maybe, of government or economic policy or whatever you want to, whatever capitalism is, communism is. What's the definition of those? Those are governments, right?
Well, it's an economic system. Yeah.
So,
like, I'm not a fan. Like, and it's weird too, because I'm not even, as far as like governmentally, I'm not a fan of communism. I would consider myself a communist, but I'm not a communist in the sense of, like, I want government to run shit like USSR or China or North Korea or anything like that.
This is the question.
Yeah.
When they in a communist society, who gets all the money?
There's no money.
What do you mean?
There's no money. So in the communist society, if it's community ran, it's community owned, and it's not owned by one or a couple of people. So say, for instance, like a grocery store, right? The grocery store is ran by everybody within the community, and everybody contribute to that grocery store. Like they work on the farms that help stock the grocery store, and they help run the grocery store so that it operates smoothly, so that everybody can just freely get what they need to survive with it. Okay. So it's no ownership. It lies with everybody. It's like a democratic.
So how do businesses work in the communist society? Is that why reasons like companies like Apple aren't in China?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that far, but I would say that there will be no such thing as a business in a communist society. There would just be places where you get things,
and you pretty much get them for free.
You get them for free, yeah.
So I can go get it, whatever it is, for free.
Yeah.
That don't sound that bad.
It's not.
That's what I was.
Obviously, it's more complicated than what I'm making.
So technically, that's what I just said, ain't it? When I was just.
So I will argue that, like, and I argue this a lot to a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people are low-key communists. They just wouldn't necessarily call themselves a communist. You know what I mean?